You're listening to the Rippin' Common Sense Radio Network. Please rise for the playing of the Pledge of Allegiance. And the National Anthem.
In Rhode Island, the bot of vampires still cause locals to murder and for deep in the belly of this small state, behind the Chestnut Hill Baptist Church in the town of Exeter, lies New England's famous vampire where mercy ground buried. No longer is the fear summoned by the youthful soul rising from the graveyard.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now let's get this party started.
Things are better left unknown, and I'll never find you here, 'cause no one's ever Oh, what a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. Oh, what a sinner. Is it in her? What's the truth in this riddle? Is love really just this simple? I can't seem to find my way in this world that never stays.
Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon.
She's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. What a sinner. Is it in her?
Brandon lives in a wonderland of confusion.
Is this real or just illusion? Manifestation or a dark delusion? Is this real or just illusion? I'm lost in a wonderland of confusion.
Rippin' Rabbit Hole is a community-driven radio. At times the community comments may reveal prejudices and other beliefs that we or our sponsors do not condone. Views or opinions expressed by the community, callers, or guests, are those of the individual speaking and do not represent the views or opinions of this site. Rippin' Common Sense content is intended for mature audiences only. Enjoy.
Coming to you from a secret cave, hidden deep within the wilderness. This is the Darkwolf's Den Show. Now, here is your host, Jerry Hicks.
That's right, I am Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and we are broadcasting live from a secret cave hidden deep within the wilderness of Tennessee. That's right, we're ripping through the electromagnetic soup. We're tearing through the atmosphere, and we're tunneling away into your radio like a quantum particle. This is the DarkWolf's Den Radio Show for Thursday, March the 31st, 2022. So whether you're on the edge of a reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Folks, tonight we carry on our great State of Mystery series with the state of Rhode Island. As small as this state is, it is absolutely packed with the paranormal. From cryptids to ghosts and so much more, we've got a whole lot to cover and a little time to get there. And we will get there here in just a moment, but first, let's go ahead and see who all we have out here in our YouTube chat rooms, both in the DarkWolf's Den Show as well as the Rippin' Rabbit Hole YouTube. How we doing tonight, folks? X-Gen hanging out over here says, evening, travelers and purebloods. Glad to see you, X-Gen. Sandy B checking in. Says, hi, X-Gen and Jerry. I'm on Rippin' moderating. Well, we'll pop over to Rippin' here in just a moment. Just Jess, I'm a traveler. Let me know if you want me to visit your home. Well, we've been visiting a lot of home states here on the State of Mystery series. Glad to see you, Just Jess. Been a while. Deranged Lunatic, aka DL, says, evening, everyone. Evening, Deranged. Always good to have a good crowd over here in the Dark Wolf's Den Show chat. Over in the Rippin' Rabbit Hole chat, Sandy B checking in. Number one says, Rhode Island, so small, can't wait to learn about it. I know, right? As tiny as it is actually got a lot to choose from. Raider Champion, maybe he'll mention the talking dog and quahog. Oh, you mean Brian? There we go, just mentioned him. Ha ha. Who else we got here? Errol Taylor says, hello all. Hello, Errol. Glad to see ya. As well as Maggie Aces checking in, says, hello. Hello, Maggie's Mandani Mall. See, Mandani Mall likes to take the name of the state and make anagrams out of the name. Tonight's anagram is, it's Shoe-Rid Land tonight. Shoe-Rid Land, Rhode Island. Last night he had a blast. There were so many letters in Pennsylvania, he spent the whole chat just tearing them up. I expect he's going to be doing the same, as Rhode Island has got a good number 2. Who else we have over here? Earth Daughter checking in. Wow, checking in early tonight. Glad to see you, Earth Daughter. Glad to see all of you guys here. It has been an incredible day here in the den. We've got quite a bit done. I'm surprised I don't see more of you guys hanging out. Do me a favor. Share this out everywhere that you can. Facebook, as bad as they are, Getter, wherever your particular social media site is, please share this out. Let everyone know about the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. And of course, whether you are listening on YouTube or around the world on Rippin' Common Sense Radio Network, or even on demand on BitChute or Rumble, we're glad to have every last one of you guys along for the ride. And we're gonna dive down into the paranormal rabbit hole of Rhode Island here in just a moment. But of course, we've got 2 more fun little segments to do, the first of which we call Today in History. On this day in 1918, the very first daylight savings time goes into effect in the United States. Of course, now they're trying to repeal that, and we'll see how far they go, but the first one was enacted on this day in 1918, and that is today's segment of Today in History.
Say what?
Our quote of the day today comes from Albert Einstein. He says, quote, "The difference between stupidity and genius is that genius has its limits," end quote. I'm sure I could think of one or two that defy the limits of stupidity. Let's go, Brandon. Anyways, folks, that is today's segment of
Say what?
And like I mentioned a moment ago, Rhode Island is absolutely packed with the paranormal. As small as the state is, I was really amazed at the amount of case files that I was able to find. And as you guys know, we like to start off each episode with the cryptids of the state, and this is no different. Rhode Island, non-surprisingly enough, has a good variety of sea monsters, like our first one, the Ness monster. This occurred on June 27th, 1996. Block Island residents were witness to something strange from the waters along their shore. While traveling for monkfish, two fishermen aboard the Mad Monk discovered a 14-foot serpentine skeleton in their nets. The beast consisted of a long spine with no fins and a narrow skull with strange whiskers. They laid the odd creature out for display on the stone breakwater by the ferry at Point Judith. For 2 days the carcass remained along the shore. As it basked in the summer sun, the odor did not prevent it from drawing people from all over to see the Ness monster. The skeleton was eventually brought to the island and put in a freezer. The following day, the creature was to be picked up and brought to the National Marine Fisheries Service in Narragansett to be examined. Unfortunately, the skeleton was pilfered from the freezer by locals who were concerned that it would not be returned to the island. The kidnappers called several times and made certain demands concerning the remains. They were supposed to give it back in October of that year. However, they never did deliver the monster. So the remains of this creature are yet to be found and are considered missing. However, it is noted that fishermen pulled this up, and I find this case file intriguing for the fact that we don't normally get case files like these. Normally it's a witness, and that's all you get. You don't normally find a skeleton of a creature, especially of this size. But this isn't the only monster in the depths of the waters of Rhode Island. There's actually another monster called the Teddy Beach Sea Monster. And this one, surprisingly enough, got its own news story on Channel 12 News. Check this out.
We haven't heard of anything quite like this around here before. Imagine swimming mindlessly in the late afternoon sun when all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a huge, horrifying creature, roughly 15 feet long, rocks your world. Tuesday afternoon here at Teddy's Beach in Portsmouth. What happened gives new meaning to this danger sign. It was low tide and Rachel Carney was out beyond the danger sign, floating on her back, relaxing, when big trouble struck.
I turned around, I heard a hissing sound. So I stopped, I looked beside me, and all I seen was a face come up with these big teeth, and I just remember the face being shaped like a basketball, and the face went in, kind of sucked in, and then went squared off. Then it had all white, and it kept...
This kind of reminds me of the horsehead description that we've been consistently getting on these sea creatures.
Swimming around me, it rubbed up against my leg. So I just stopped, and I pretended like I wasn't moving. That's when it rubbed up, went down, and kept going around me.
It rubbed up against your leg?
Up against my leg, literally.
It touched you?
It touched me. That's how I knew it was scary.
Scary?
With scales, because I felt the scales, and plus I seen the face. So I started swimming away. I yelled, Danny!
Not gonna lie, I thought she said scary there for a minute. She actually said scaly.
Help me, something's chasing me!
Rachel Carney's fiance, Dennis Vasconcelos, had been fishing with a buddy on these rocks. He raced into the water.
It's going to get her. I grabbed her by the ass, or rear end, and I grabbed her like that, and I whipped her in. We're over her head. I whipped her in. I says, Rachel, just swim. Don't turn around no matter what you hear, right? Now I stood there, and the thing's going like around me and stuff, all right? And I can see how big it is and stuff, and it's gigantic, okay? It has scales on it and stuff. Now all of a sudden, from me to you away, this big head comes up. Honestly, I've never seen nothing like this before in my life. It's like a basketball. It's like this big, okay? It comes up and it's got these fangs, like my fingers, right? The first, this many in the bottom, and about 2 or 3 at the top, plus layers inside, okay? And it's like...
And yet another piece of the case file that we hear quite a bit in these sea monster cases are the fangs and the multiple rows of fangs within these creatures' mouths.
Blackish on the top a little bit, and it's got a couple of scales that you can see and stuff, and you can see the white starting under its neck. And it shoots water out of its nose, right? And out of its mouth, it goes like this to me. It goes, and it spit the water out of me. Now I think it's going to kill me, you know what I mean?
Now, here's something that we don't find in a lot of these sea monster case files is the creature spitting water as some type of defensive mechanism. That's actually new to me. I don't know about you guys.
The group thinks the creature was attracted to blood from a nasty injury to Joey Melo's leg. Joey was out in the water as he is right now, cleaning his leg. Joey, how much blood was there?
I bled for an hour and a half, and it just wouldn't stop.
I will not ever go in salt water again, because I am that scared. I thought I was dead that day, honestly. I didn't think he was going to make it in time to get me. I just thought I was dead. I thought it was a fauna.
At first I thought it was an eel, okay, because it was, when it was rolling first, right, it would roll and you could see the white and stuff, but when it got to chase her, it was going like this. You know what I mean? Like they go a little bit like this, like a hump sort of. It sounds like a barracuda, similar, like that, all right?
Man, you're still in the moment right now, 2 days later. You're still in this moment, are you?
I have flipped over this. I went to bed. I've been going to bed with things grabbing me, wrapping around my neck, choking, fighting underground and everything.
It's still a mystery what the creature was. State environmental agents checked out the scene today and found nothing, so the best guess comes from marine experts we checked with. They figure it may have been some sort of a tropical fish that migrated here with a warm Gulf current.
Because, of course, the experts aren't going to admit that a sea monster could exist. That'd be, too much like right. But very intriguing case file. It's not a lot of times that we get these in the news, right? We don't get a lot of news reports specifically. Normally it's just eyewitnesses filing a report somewhere, whether it be online or whatever the case. So very intriguing, but that's not the only monster of Rhode Island. It has its own Bigfoot also, as if that's a surprise, right?
I was at the time maybe 8 years old, and my mother and I, on this particular night in the late 1970s, commenced our ride around the roads to see if we could see any deer. It had been raining earlier with thunder and lightning mixed in. Now it was just raining. We were rounding a corner on one of the roads that paralleled the Indian Cedar Swamp, and as we started downward, we noticed the road was obstructed by a large, blown-down oak tree. The tree had green leaves on it, so it had recently come down. We guessed maybe in the storm earlier, possibly lightning. The road was very narrow, and the brush alongside of the road made it difficult to back the car around to turn around. The rain was falling, but not heavy. The wipers were on, the headlights on the car were on as well. As my mother turned the front end of the car, the lights cast on the left side of the road where the tree had been broken off from its stump. We were maybe 1.5 car lengths from the stump. Beside the tall fractured stump stood what looked like a large yellow-white ape.
That's right, folks, a white Bigfoot. Here's something, again, we don't normally get in the Bigfoot case files.
It was maybe 6 to 7 feet tall. Its hair was long, face flat, long massive arms. Its head appeared to be without any neck. Its chest was broad. My mother and I froze momentarily, 5 seconds, maybe 10, and the figure remained still, staring at us. My mother floored the car into reverse. I remember the terror of it all. The sound of gravel hitting inside the fender wells, the sound of the brush crushing against the car, and then the acceleration as she sped off. We were clear as to what we saw, and we have no question in our mind that we saw something or someone in ape-like shape that night. We were certain of it. We need no one to tell us what we saw. It's crystal clear. For years we told no one. We would talk about it in our home in privacy, and even my father found this story hard to accept.
So whatever this creature was, it really scared these people a lot, to the point that they would not even publicly speak about it. However, it's not the only sighting of the big white Bigfoot.
April 15th, 2010. Providence County, Rhode Island. I was driving along Route 6, crossing the Connecticut state line into Rhode Island. The road is very dark and heavily wooded in this particular area. As I was traveling east, something quickly moved across the road in front of me. I was driving approximately 55 miles per hour. Once I registered what I was seeing, I also realized that whatever it was had walked on 2 legs. It cleared the guardrail on the side of the road in 1 step and was gone. I was very spooked. The whole incident lasted less than 30 seconds, though I think about it often, especially when I drive through that area.
You know, I take it back what I just said. Sandy B points out abominable. The abominable snowman, a cousin of the Bigfoot, is white. That is true.
The witness is a professional behavior analyst, and the following additional information was obtained during a 20-minute phone interview. The witness is very familiar with the 2-lane state road and specific area in which the sighting took place, having traveled the road numerous times in the past and at the same general time. The witness was traveling with young children who were asleep in the back seat, and she was on her cell phone driving east when the sighting took place. She observed a dark bipedal animal move with a relatively fast, steady gait across the road from her right to left as an oncoming westbound car was approaching in the distance. Her car passed the animal after it had stepped over the guardrail adjacent to the westbound lane and observed the animal take a few steps down an embankment and then disappear from sight. She described the animal's movement in crossing the road and stepping over the guardrail as smooth and fluid. The approximate distance of the animal from the front of the car as it traversed the road was indeterminate. However, it was of sufficient distance that she had time to slow down. As the bipedal animal crossed the road, the witness's car headlights caught the lower half of the animal's body, which she described as hairy with no reflected light. The section of Route 6 on which the sighting took place is relatively flat with swampy, relatively dense woodland on both sides of the road. The area is very dark at night due to the absence of ambient light from streetlights, nearby homes or businesses along the road. The general area is marked by low rolling hills and wetlands within relatively large tracts of uninhabited state-protected land. The sighting took place in the Pawtuxet River watershed, which is characterized by deciduous trees and mixed forests, coupled with freshwater waterlands. This biodiverse environment supports a wide range of mammalian, example deer, bobcats, foxes, and waterfowl species.
Interestingly enough, it seems that an area like this would actually be perfect for a creature such as a Bigfoot. The reason being is the large amount of woodland cover that this creature would have, coupled with the water sources that are more than abundant in the area. Plus, you've got the variety of animals like deer and other animals that roam the area on a normal basis. It seems to me that the Bigfoot creature would have no problem both eating and drinking, as well as staying mostly hidden, as it seems like it's had a couple run-ins with humans, but only a few. Just enough, though, that we can find out about it. And something else I've found out about in Rhode Island is a story that's a little different than our usual cryptid stories. As a matter of fact, it's a little different than most paranormal stories that we find in the States. It's not many states that the devil himself tends to visit. However, Rhode Island is one of those states. Check out this interesting case file.
The Devil's Footprints. The devil made it to Rhode Island, and he probably came from Massachusetts. That is, if you believe local legend. In North Kingstown, north of Wickford, and near the entrance of Quonset, is a large granite ledge known as Devil's Foot Rock. Legends going back to the colonial era tell of a squaw being chased by the devil. Some say that she fled from Boston, like so many others seeking relief from religious persecution. Her pursuer is said to have left his footprints at Devil's Foot Rock, then at Chimney Hill in South Kingstown, and finally at Block Island.
Interestingly enough, our first case file tonight came from Block Island. You remember the Ness monster, right?
The footprint must have been hidden for many years by heavy underbrush and eroded from the embankment above. In 1939, when the site was given to Rhode Island Historical Society by John Dixon Johnson of Newport, a newspaper headline declared, "Searchers unable to find Devil's Footprint Rock." But 2 years later, during the installation of the rail spur to Quonset, a stone railing wall was constructed around the print, minimizing the impact of nature's unrelenting quest to cover the devil's tracks. If you know about folklore, then you no doubt expect that there is more than one version of this story, and you will not be disappointed. A text of the legend published in 1850 links the South Kingstown site to a well-known geological wonder in Middletown. One of the 3 different versions of this legend portrays the probable colonial origins, during a time when European Christians were converting, if not Native Americans themselves, then at least their ancient spirits. Most of these mythological and legendary beings, such as the Chicopee and the Hobomonco, were transformed into the devil, or at least into demons. In this legend, an Indian woman murdered a white man near Wickford. Just as she attempts to escape, a stern-looking English gentleman appears, asking if she will walk with him for a short distance. She balks, but cannot escape before he seizes her by the arm. As she cries out for the Hobomonco to save her, her attacker reveals, "I am Hobomonco." Then, dropping his disguise, the devil grabs her by the waist, stamps the ground fiercely once or twice, and flies with her, plunging her into the turbulent waves of the purgatory chasm. The story concludes, to this day may be seen near Wickford the footprints of Satan on the surface of the ledge near the road. One has the form of a cloven hoof, and the other has exactly the shape and size of a human foot, even to the mark of the great toe.
And it seems that the devil himself may very well have made a visit to Rhode Island. And our next case file, folks, only takes the weird to a whole nother level. This one is called the Gloucester Ghoul.
Albert Hicks, the last person to be executed for piracy in America, was born in Foster, Rhode Island in 1820.
I'm not sure if I was actually related to Albert Hicks or not, but I gotta say I like the last name, right?
Though the devil may have been by his side while he was involved in a nefarious life. His first encounter with him, or one of his hellhounds, may have been back home in Foster, Rhode Island. While living in Foster, he was fascinated by stories of pirates, robbers, and highwaymen. He was often riveted by tales his friends shared with him. One claimed that pots of silver and gold had been buried in their neighborhood by Captain Kidd. Hicks often found himself dreaming of finding the stash that was secreted somewhere nearby. He could feel the gold calling to him. In the summer of 1839, Hicks had grown confident that Kidd's treasure was lying somewhere on Page Farm. He had heard that some Spanish doubloons had previously been found on the farm. Hicks and 3 fellow Gloucesterites decided they would claim this hoard under the cloak of night. Manned with shovels and picks, Hicks and his hooligans set out to claim the treasure. Once on the farm, they began to dig fiercely for Kid's supposed buried gold. It wasn't long before their effort was interrupted by a strange sound.
Maggie's Ace says, Satan and Purgatory Chasm. Might want to educate oneself in Catholic theology. Satan, heckfire, and also what purgatory is. Sorry, I can't say that word on radio. So interestingly enough, I was doing some reading up on these case files, and it turns out that with Rhode Island, a lot of the areas didn't really have names, and the people around just kind of named them as they went. They were only really locally named, and eventually the names tended to stick on. That's why such names as Purgatory Canyon, things like that, actually gained their naming. Interesting factoid there.
They stopped their work and listened with caution. Had their venture been discovered? As they looked up, emerging from the dark forest in front of them was an eldritch horror. Quickly they dropped their tools and ran for their lives.
And the description of this creature is unlike any I've ever heard.
Hicks described the beast as a large animal with staring eyes as big as pewter bowls. The eyes looked like balls of fire. When it breathed as it went by, flames came out of its mouth and nostrils, scorching the brush in its path. It was as big as a cow, with dark wings on each side like a bat's. It had a spiral horn like a ram's, as big around as a stovepipe. Its feet were formed like a duck's, and measured 1.5 feet across. The body was covered with scales, as big as clamshells, which made a rattling noise as the beast moved along.
See, this creature originally reminded me of a Mothman, but the more I hear this description, the stranger it gets.
The scales flopped up and down. The thing had lights on its side, like those shining through a tin lantern. Before I saw it, I felt its presence, and I smelled something that was like burnt wool as it went by. I had a feeling of suffocation when it came near me. The monster seemed to come from nowhere, and to go away in the same manner.
It almost sounds to me like a dragon, but a much different version than I've ever heard. However, this would not be the only sighting of the Gloucester Ghoul.
The beast wasn't seen again until 1896 by Gloucester resident Neil Hopkins. The story of his encounter was reported in the January 15th, 1896 edition of the Evening Hour. On the cold winter evening of January 13th, Neil was on his way home from work in Putnam, Connecticut. Though he had traveled this path alone many times before, this evening he had a troubled feeling. When Neil reached the darkest point on his route, he heard a sound from deep in the forest quickly moving towards him. Suddenly, as if from out of some gateway from hell, a supernatural creature came charging from the darkness and began to pursue him. It seemed to be all afire. It had hot breath, Neil explained. There was a metallic sound like clanking of steel against steel. The beast didn't seem to be strong in wind, for it chased me only a short distance and then plunged off into the woods. I could hear the dead branches and twigs crackling under the heavy tramp. Neil said that whatever it was he saw, it was as large as an elephant but had no tail. Those who had heard about his horrible encounter were not sure exactly what it could have been. Some believed it was a bear that had been seen recently in Webster, Massachusetts, and as far south as Gloucester. Others thought it was the famous Gloucester monster, the burning beast that pirate Hicks had seen 57 years ago. There are those who believe that the beast still haunts the forest not far from the Providence Turnpike. If you happen to find yourself to be the beast's next unlucky victim, keep in mind that it has never been known to take a life.
Now, those are probably some of the strangest cryptid descriptions I think I have ever heard, and I've heard quite a few. But we have run out of time in the first half, so we've got to go ahead and take a network break right here, folks. My name's Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and you're listening to the Darkwolf's Den Radio Show exclusively on Ripin' Common Sense Radio Network, the Rippin'RabbitHole.com. We will be right back with the second half of the Darkwolf's Den Show and the hauntings of Rhode Island after these messages. Stick around, don't touch that dial. That's right.
We gotta stoke the fires and run off the men in black. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Oh yeah, Jerry Hicks on a Thursday night. Hi everyone, it's AJ the Rippin' Rabbit. Are you enjoying tonight's Darkwolf's Den Radio Show, State of Mystery for Rhode Island? I know I am. If you are, and you haven't done so already, please make sure to hop on over to our website, Rippin'RabbitHole.com. That's RippinRabbitHole.com. There you can sign up for your exclusive backstage VIP pass. It's going to give you unfiltered access down the rabbit hole to where the conversation continues after the show. I'll return again tomorrow night, Friday. Come along with me as we dive deep down the rabbit hole and explore the importance of your local candidates and the importance of your local elections. As election season is well underway, we'll take a look at what's going on the ground in Ripon, Wisconsin, and use it as a showcase model that you can compare to what's happening in your own backyard. That's Friday night, April 1st, and that is no joke. Join me at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central tomorrow night, Friday. Then Saturday night, April 2nd, come along with me as we dive down and explore the rabbit hole of the 25th Amendment. What happens if our president is mentally incapable of doing his job, or physically incapable, for that matter, of doing his job? We'll explore all the options and just what the 25th Amendment has to say about it. It'll be an interesting look. Again, April 2nd, Saturday. Then we'll end out the weekend right together with you. Sunday night, April 3rd. That's right, the first Sunday of the month. You know what that means. Beat Eugene, the mystery edition. Come along with us and join us Sunday night starting at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central for the most interactive family game show on radio. An evening of puzzles, riddles, and mystery. You'll have to tune in to find out. And you know what that means. You get an extended weekend Tuesday. That's right, Tuesday the 5th. You can join your host, Raider Champion, exclusively in the Backstage VIP Lounge, as Tuesday night videos will continue the mystery. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait. An exciting weekend ahead, that's for sure. Tell your family, tell your friends, heck, tell your family's friends to be here or be square. We'll return back to tonight's topic, State of Mystery, Rhode Island, for Thursday, March 31st, 2022. Here's Jerry Hicks and the Darkwolf's Den Radio Show. You're listening to the Ripin' Common Sense Radio Network, home of the Freedom Flame, Rippin'RabbitHole.com.
Do you like what we do here at the Darkwolf's Den Show? Would you like to help support us? If so, we have the perfect way to do it. Did you know that I wrote a book? That's right, it's called Moon Madness. Very interesting indeed. Don't want to give too much of the plot away, but it's something you'll definitely enjoy. If you'd like a copy, you can go ahead on over to Amazon. It is $7 for Kindle, $12 for paperback. You get something to read, and you help support us at the same time.
If you were meant to be controlled, you would have come with a remote, but you didn't. And that's why you listen to the Darkwolf's Den Show. Now, here is your host, Jerry Hicks.
That's right, I am Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf. And welcome back to the second half of the Darkwolf's Den Radio Show for Thursday, March the 31st, 2022. So whether you're on the edge of a reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Folks, in the first half, we went over a number of strange cryptids, and strange indeed, including a couple devil and devil monsters also. And in the second half, we are going to go over the hauntings of the state of Rhode Island, starting with
The Breakers. The Breakers in Newport was built for Cornelius Vanderbilt II and his wife Alice as a summer home in 1893. Located right on the coast, it now acts as a museum, with the third floor open for members of the Vanderbilt family only. Family members, employees, and visitors began reporting paranormal occurrences after the death of Alice in 1934, and it's believed she loved the house so much that her soul still resides here. Many report strange and unexplainable sounds, objects found in different locations than they were left, and even Alice's voice drifting through the halls at night. It should be noted that ghost hunts are not allowed here, and it's rumored the family is very aware of the presence in the house and doesn't want it disturbed.
So this seems to me more like a caretaker ghost, right? Albeit an active haunting, most caretaker hauntings are.
Providence City Hall. Providence City Hall in Providence was built in 1878 and is surrounded by local legends that will send chills down your spine. Though it has never been confirmed, local legend states the entity that haunts this old hall is that of the former mayor, Thomas Doyle, who passed away while still holding the position. His wake was held in this very building. Many have reported supernatural occurrences here throughout the years, including chairs moving on their own, cold breezes felt even when the windows are closed, and doors slamming when no one is around. To further solidify the theory that this spirit is the former mayor, many also report a man's voice that's very similar to recordings, the feeling of someone trying to shake hands with any who enter, and phantom cigar smoke, believed to be from the mayor's beloved stogies.
And once again, we have a caretaker ghost, it seems like here. What I find really intriguing with the case files that we've went over on this whole series is the fact that these ghosts seem to really retain the personality of the person that they were in life. It seems to me that the soul and consciousness seem to be one in the same, as it would be in this case. He seems to be acting out the position of mayor, trying to shake people's hands, things like that. I wonder if he isn't upset with the doors slamming that he isn't the only mayor there, or even knows at all that he has passed on, right? Also, this haunting still does seem to fit the recipe. High trauma, high emotion, high chance of haunting. For some reason, emotions seem to be one of the main guiding factors in the creation of reality, as it does also, as we know, tend to include intent. Your emotions tend to guide your intent in the world, right? So it only makes sense that this would be the case.
The Crescent Park Carousel. The Crescent Park Carousel in East Providence was hand-carved by Charles Loof in 1895, and it's all that's left of the abandoned amusement park that used to occupy the area. The former amusement park changed hands many times, with most of the park being destroyed by two separate fires. Those brave enough to ride this old carousel or explore the surrounding area, especially after dark, report the phantom sounds of voices and laughter, shrieks from where the old roller coaster used to stand, and strange apparitions made of mist floating through the area.
Now, one part of that just caught my attention was shrieks from where the old roller coaster used to stand. Again, on a roller coaster, you have a very, very high amount of emotion, albeit normally positive emotion. Just the same, you have a high amount of emotion that seems to, for whatever reason, inlay onto reality. Almost like a stain on reality, for a lack of better terms. And I would almost dare say that it's like two different realities going on here at the same time, like a very thin area of the veil, if you will.
Many have also caught orbs in photographs, reported smelling the smells of popcorn and cotton candy at night, and several have told disturbing stories involving what they believe were ghostly clowns.
Okay, I'm not a person that tends to fear clowns. Clowns don't bother me at all. That said, ghost clowns, that would be a little more disturbing in my book.
On numerous occasions, employees after hours have reported being startled by the bright lights and loud music of the carousel as it whirs to life by itself.
Again, not a big surprise, as we do know that spirit seems to manipulate electricity a lot easier than other elements.
Colt State Park. Colt State Park in Bristol was once the home and property of Samuel P. Colt, who shared a name with his uncle, the legendary arms maker. In 1905, Colt purchased 3 separate farms, merging them into his summer home in a large stone barn. The grounds were open to the public after his passing, and though the home was demolished in the 1960s, the old stone barn remains, and it's said to be the center of the hauntings. Many have reported a wide range of odd occurrences, including the doors slamming shut at night, lights turning on and off on their own, and objects moving around the barn. The ghost of a farmhand has been seen on numerous occasions. He appears as an older man clad in traditional cowboy garb and has been known to nod silently at any who pass.
Once again, we seem to have another case of a caretaker ghost, one that is only looking after the property in the area. The objects moving around on their own would be, in my opinion, the caretaker replacing them to where they should have been to begin with, right? Things left out or things put back to where they were in the time that the person actually existed on the earth.
Also reported are the spirits of 2 young girls along the water. Local legend says they drowned in the river in the park's earlier days. Their laughter can often be heard echoing from the trees.
Once again, it seems to be yet another case of high trauma plus high emotion causing a haunting.
Seaview Terrace. Seaview Terrace in Newport was originally built in 1885 and just plain looks like your classic haunted mansion. In 1923, Edson Bradley dismantled his Washington, D.C. mansion, brought it to Newport, and built it on and into the original home. Unfortunately, it's now a private residence and doesn't allow tours, but many reports have sprouted up from its years as a school, and those who have been fortunate enough to explore these old halls usually come to one conclusion: it's most definitely haunted. Reports include odd sounds at night, disembodied footsteps, and extreme cold spots.
Of course, all 3 traits being classic haunting activity, as we tend to run across these in almost every case file: the cold spots, the disembodied footsteps and or voices, things like that.
On several occasions, visitors and students have heard phantom organ music bellowing out old tunes.
And I've said before, when it comes to the phantom music, I have no problem with that whatsoever.
During its time as a school, students reported feeling the presence of Edison and his wife, Julia, quite often. Their full-bodied apparitions have been known to appear to those troubled or upset.
Really interesting piece of the case file here. The apparitions tend to show up to those who are troubled or upset, who are experiencing high emotion, right? Maybe even to the point of being traumatic in what they're experiencing. Just very interesting that that is what would draw the ghosts out, like a compassionate ghost, like, again, a caretaker. Seems Rhode Island has a large amount of caretaker-style ghosts. More than we've found in any other state we've done, at least.
The White Horse Tavern.
This seems to be another trend that we're starting to see quite a bit, are these taverns and or pubs that tend to be haunted.
The White Horse Tavern in Newport was originally built in 1652. It served as a city hall, courthouse, and finally a tavern in 1673, making it the oldest known tavern building stateside. During the Revolutionary War, British military occupied the tavern and used it for quarters.
Already we have our high trauma plus high emotion, being that this was used for a tavern in time of war.
And later it was used as a boarding house, before finally being restored. Staff and patrons at this historic haunt report ghostly orders being shouted from nowhere, the feeling of unseen hands tapping on shoulders, and doors locking and unlocking by themselves.
I'm not too sure how I feel about the idea of unseen hands touching me. I know I jokingly said something about it last night, but on a serious note, I think that would probably creep me out just a little bit.
Many have also reported the ghost of an elderly man roaming the area. He's believed to be the spirit of a man who died here as a John Doe, without anyone ever knowing his identity. He's been known to pester guests in the dining room, especially women, trying to communicate.
Or trying to flirt from the other side. One of the two, right?
The General Nathaniel Green Homestead. The General Nathaniel Green Homestead in Coventry was built in 1770 for the Revolutionary War general of the same name. The general lived there until 1783, and in 1786, after his passing, the house was sold to his brother and remained in the family until 1899. In 1919, the old abode was restored and opened to the public as a museum.
So for any paranormal researchers around Rhode Island, here is a place that is literally open to the public for investigation.
And many since have reported a wide and terrifying range of paranormal occurrences, including the smell of baking bread, disembodied footsteps throughout the halls and on the stairs, and locked doors opening on their own. Many have also cited shadowy apparitions that seemingly stalk any who enter the residence, and several have reported seeing an old baby carriage rolling around the home on its own. Lastly, many who stay after dark report the phantom sounds of a horse and carriage coming up the main drive.
You know, the more I listen to these Rhode Island case files, the more I'm becoming convinced that Rhode Island is a very, very thin-veiled area between two worlds. Whether that be a spirit world or another reality altogether like our own, I'm not entirely sure just yet. But I'm really starting to think that this just is two realities laid on top of each other that we call a state, right?
The Rhode Island School of Design. The Rhode Island School of Design in Providence was founded in 1877, and local legend says that 7 of the buildings on campus have been confirmed as extremely haunted.
Of course, we have to have our token school for every episode.
Not including the campus area itself, which is also surrounded by multiple legends and rumors. The Dexter House once acted as a morgue, and many have reported full-bodied apparitions that are, strangely enough, friendly, even chatting with several unsuspecting passerbys. In Farnham Hall, many report disembodied whispering, heavy footsteps, and a strange shuffling sound. In the Barstow House, many report feeling a sudden and extreme depression, making them want to leave the area immediately. In the Dunnell House, a mysterious and angry entity likes to throw trash cans and mess with the electricity, and has been known to appear as a hulking shadow in the corner of rooms. In the Pardon Miller House, 2 pale young children are often seen in the basement, and an active poltergeist has been known to rearrange furniture in the Nightingale House. Homer Hall is said to be the most haunted location on campus, housing 5 known apparitions, possibly more. 2 of them are on the 4th floor and are known to break windows, throw objects, and turn faucets on by themselves. The 3rd is that of a man who is commonly seen in the restroom. The 4th is a woman seen in various rooms throughout the hall, and the last is that of a mysterious old man. As if these exceedingly haunted buildings weren't enough, the campus itself is said to hold more than just great scenery, as students and faculty also report strange winds at night, streetlights flashing overhead, shrieks in the night sky, and shadowy apparitions that like to follow any who wander alone.
So once again, we have these ghosts that clearly seem to be retaining the personality they had when they were on this earth, as each house has a different type of entity, it seems, right? Or perhaps it is once again just 2 realities that are laying right on top of each other with a very thin veil between them. What do you guys think, though? Do you think the state of Rhode Island is definitely a state of mystery? Or do you think that perhaps we're barking up the wrong tree? In the end, folks, all you can do is look at the evidence, apply a little common sense, and you be the judge. we got to close it out. That's right, that's it for this episode of the Darkwolf's Den Radio Show for Thursday, March the 31st, 2022. So whether you're on the edge of a reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Folks, the inn may be closing, but don't you worry, the weekend fun has only just begun. That's right, now that we've kicked off this weekend right, we're going to throw it on over to our buddy AJ the Rippin' Rabbit as he returns tomorrow, Friday, April 1st, 2022, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, with an all-new episode of the Rippin' Rabbit Hole Live Show. That's right, tomorrow he's going to be discussing, well, your backyard. Actually, your political backyard. He's going to be using Ripon as an example of every little town across this country and how we can all get involved and become change that we want to see in our local community. Haha, made a rhyme there, what do you know? Anyways, folks, make sure you tune in for that tomorrow, Friday, April 1st, April Fool's Day. I hope you guys have a great April Fool's Day, by the way. 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. Then on Saturday, April 2nd, 2022, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, AJ comes back with yet another episode of the Rippin' Rabbit Hole Live Show where he'll be discussing the 25th Amendment. What happens when our president is not mentally fit to run for or to hold the office? How about when he's not physically fit to run the office? I think we may be in a situation like that, at least in my opinion. We all know how fit Brandon is, right? And we might actually have a way to take care of that with the 25th Amendment. An amendment that was necessary once and may well be necessary soon again. AJ will discuss all that and more tomorrow, April 2nd, 2020, or I'm sorry, Saturday, April 2nd, 2022, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. Then on Sunday, April 3rd, 2022, same time, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, AJ returns with an episode of Beat Eugene. This is the best and most fun you can have on radio. From games to trivia and so much more, find out if you can beat Eugene. I've only done it once or twice myself, but it is doable, I can tell you that much. It is an absolute blast, and I hope to see all of you there Sunday, April 3rd, 2022, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. And next weekend, we have an extended weekend. That's right, as our buddy Raider Champion returns with Tuesday night videos. This is going to be another mystery box selection, so it's going to be a mystery Beat Eugene and a mystery TNV. How mysterious it may be, I can't wait to see. There we go. This show is not a show that is broadcast across the airwaves. This is a show that is only held in the 24/7 backstage lounge on the rippinrabbithole.com. And if you would like to join us, make sure that you hop on over to the rippinrabbithole.com. That is RIPONRABBITHOLE.com. Over there, you're going to find not only the 24/7 backstage lounge, but a plethora of fun. You're going to have to make sure you sign up for your VIP pass. That is absolutely free and always will be. This is going to get you access to the lounge as well as all the other fun stuff we offer, like our groups section over there. We have the Darkwolf's Den Show group as well as the Rippin' Rabbit Hole group, Lucid Dreaming, Convention Estates, International Mandela Effect Conference, an entire list of different groups and ideas over there to check out. And if there's not a group that you like, well, guess what? You can make your own. It's just that simple, as we are a community generating press, and well, you guys are the community, right? As also, while you're over there, make sure that you check out the Down the Rabbit Hole section. That is our exclusive privatized social media section. We don't shadow ban, we don't throw the fake checkers on there. We really appreciate people dropping information over there and sharing it with the rest of us rabbits. As a matter of fact, I've got a couple show topics lined up whenever I'm able to finish the State of Mystery series anyway, that came directly from that area. So make sure you drop down the rabbit hole with the rest of the rabbits and join us for some fun. With that said, folks, we have to get out of here for this weekend and throw the reins over to our buddy AJ the Rippin' Rabbit for the rest of the weekend. So on behalf of AJ the Rippin' Rabbit, Chick Mandela Effect, Michael Musco, Walt House, everyone involved with Rippin' Common Sense Radio Network, as well as Tom Baillies and Red Shed Studios for this incredible music. My name's Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and you've been listening to the DarkWolf's Den Radio Show exclusively on Rippin' Common Sense Radio Network, the Rippin'RabbitHole.com, home of the freedom flame that burns at the bottom of every page. Until next time, folks, remember, stay awake, but dare to dream. Good night, everybody. How? Yeah, that's right.
I'm lost and into the dark. Some things are better left unknown. And I'll never find you here, 'cause no one's ever What a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. Oh, what a sinner, is it in her? What's the truth in this riddle? Is love really just this simple? I can't seem to find my way in this world that never stays. What a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. What a sinner, is it in her? Is this real? Just illusion?
Brandon's lost in a wonderland of confusion. I said he's lost in a wonderland of confusion.
Is this real or just illusion? Manifestation or a dark delusion? Is this real or just illusion? I'm lost in a wonderland of confusion.
I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. Happy April Fool's Day, everybody. Don't have too much fun now.